The moment the lock turned, Sophia Ellsworth felt the same cold dread she had felt every day for 4 long months. But this time, something was different. The sound came too early, too soft, too careful. Before she could stand from her narrow bed, the attic door swung open and revealed not her mother's stern face or her father's angry glare, but a dust-covered cowboy with storm-colored eyes staring right at her. Sophia froze. The attic had been her prison for exactly 4 months and 18 days. She had counted each one with a hidden hairpin she used to scratch tiny marks into the floorboards. She had stared through her small window for hours each day, watching the Nevada mountains she could no longer reach. Ellie was growing fast because of the copper mines, but none of that mattered to her. What mattered was that her own family had locked her away, because she dared to fall in love with the wrong man. The wrong man. That was how her father put it. She had refused to give him up, so they dragged her to the attic and told the town she was sick and needed isolation. Only her parents and the housekeeper Martha knew the truth. No one else cared. No one came for her. Until now. The cowboy stepped inside and closed the door behind him. He removed his hat, revealing dark hair and eyes that shifted between gray and blue. "Miss Ellsworth," he said softly, "I'm Zachary Morrison. I don't mean to frighten you." Sophia pressed herself against the wall. Her simple cotton dress hung loose on her thin frame, and her auburn hair fell in a tired braid over her shoulder. "How did you get in here?" she demanded, her voice rough from months of silence. "I worked for your father," Zachary said. "Deliveries. Been at the store a couple months. Martha, well, she told me the truth. Told me you weren't sick at all. Told me what your parents did." Sophia's heart jumped. Martha had always brought her extra food when no one was looking. She never imagined the woman would risk telling someone. "She said your parents left for Carson City this morning," Zachary continued. "Said you'd be alone until tomorrow night. I couldn't just walk away from that." "You broke in," Sophia whispered. He shook his head. "Used the key Martha slipped me. I ain't in the habit of breaking into houses, Miss Ellsworth." "You could be arrested." "That's likely," he admitted, "but it doesn't matter. What's happening to you is worse than anything that could happen to me." His words hit her harder than she expected. Months of loneliness cracked just a little. She studied him. He looked tired, serious, honest. Why would a stranger care what happened to her? "I can't leave," she forced out. "My father would find me. He has people everywhere." "I'm heading west," Zachary said. "San Francisco. Got a cousin starting a business there. He offered me work. It's a long way from Nevada. Your family wouldn't be able to reach you." "With you?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I don't even know you." "You'd be free to go your own way once we get there," he promised. I couldn't stand knowing you were locked in here." Sophia hesitated. Escape had seemed impossible for months. Even now, the idea made her dizzy with fear and hope. "Why would you risk all this for me?" Zachary looked away for a moment. "My sister was forced to marry a man she hated. It broke her. She took her own life last year. I couldn't save her. Maybe I can help you." The attic suddenly felt too small, too full of her family's cruelty. If she stayed, she knew what future awaited her: a forced marriage to a man twice her age, a life chosen by others, not by her. "If I go with you," she said slowly, "I need your word that I'll be free to make my own choices." "You have my word," he said without hesitation. "I offer escape, nothing more." Sophia took a deep breath. "How soon can we leave?" "Right now," he answered. Wagons waiting behind the house. She grabbed the few things she owned: her journal, a locket from her grandmother, a small pouch of coins. She didn't have proper traveling clothes, but Zachary assured her they'd find something later. "Stay close," he whispered as he checked the hall. Her legs shook as they moved down the narrow attic stairs. She hadn't walked this far in months. By the time they reached the back door, her breath was short, and her heart raced. The moment she stepped outside, sunlight washed over her skin like a blessing. After so long in darkness, it felt unreal. Tears filled her eyes. "You all right?" Zachary asked gently. She nodded. They reached the wagon hidden behind the trees, and Zachary helped her climb in. As the horses began to move, Sophia dared one last look at the grand house behind them, her father's pride, her mother's stage, her prison. "Let's go," she said firmly. Zachary took the reins, guiding them onto a quiet trail away from town. They traveled fast, leaving Aleli shrinking behind them as the sun dipped low. By evening, they reached a creek and made camp. Sophia could hardly stand, her body weak from confinement, yet her heart felt strangely strong. As the fire crackled, she sat across from Zachary and studied the man who had risked everything for her. He wasn't bold or reckless. He wasn't charming or polished. He was simply kind, steady, the first person in months who had looked at her as if she deserved freedom. She wasn't sure where this journey would take her, but she knew one thing. For the first time in her life, the path ahead belonged to her. The next morning came with a soft golden light spreading over the creek, and for the first time in 4 long months, Sophia woke to the sound of birds instead of the heavy footsteps of her mother turning a key. She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes. For a brief moment she forgot where she was. Then she saw Zachary crouched by the fire, brewing coffee, and everything rushed back. "You slept well?" he asked as she climbed down from the wagon. "Better than I imagined," she said. "Better than I have in a long time." There was something calmer in his face this morning, something almost relieved. But when she stepped into the chilly morning air, she noticed the shadows under his eyes. "You didn't sleep?" she said. He shrugged. "I dozed. My mind kept on the trail ahead." Sophia washed up at the creek, braided her hair, and tried to make herself look presentable. When she returned, Zachary handed her a tin cup of black coffee and a biscuit Martha had packed. "We need to reach Milford by midday," he said. "Then get supplies and keep moving." She nodded, though nervousness twisted in her stomach. If anyone recognized her, their freedom would vanish in an instant. Back on the trail, Sophia watched the Nevada landscape shift around them. The sun warmed the earth, and sagebrush stretched across the hills. The world felt open and wild. She had never imagined she would see so much of it. Not from behind a window, not from an attic. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "It is," Zachary said. "Nevada has a way of showing folks what they're made of." They reached Milford at midday. The small trading post sat along the dusty road, a few scattered buildings, a blacksmith, and a saloon. Zachary turned to Sophia. "Stay in the wagon," he said softly. "Keep your head down. If anyone asks questions, let me handle it." She nodded and wrapped a blanket around her shoulders, feeling her heart thud against her ribs. Every person who walked by made her breath catch. Zachary took longer than she expected. When he finally returned, he climbed into the wagon and urged the horses forward without a word. "Did something happen?" she whispered. He kept his eyes on the trail. "Your father posted a reward. A big one. Folks in Milford are already talking. Ray." Sophia felt her chest tighten. "Did anyone suspect us?" "No, but they're watching strangers close. I told the shopkeeper I was traveling with my wife to a mining camp. I bought you a dress. And," he paused, pulling something from his pocket, "a simple gold ring, a wedding band, for safety." Sophia stared at the ring as if it were a live coal. She had been told all her life that marriage was a cage. But this ring, this lie, was a shield. "Thank you," she said quietly, slipping it onto her finger. "What name did you give me?" "Sarah Morrison," he said. "Close enough that you'll answer to it." Despite the fear twisting inside her, Sophia found herself smiling a little. "We're a married couple now?" Quote, "Only to anyone asking questions," he said with a small grin. The sky darkened as clouds rolled over the distant hills. By late afternoon, the first drops of rain began to fall. "There's an old Pony Express cabin up ahead," Zachary said. "We can wait out the storm there." The rain grew heavier with each passing minute. When they reached the cabin, Sophia was soaked through. Zachary hurried to unhitch the horses and lead them under a lean-to. The cabin was small and dusty but dry. "It's perfect," Sophia said softly, stepping inside. Zachary lit a fire. Soon the warmth filled the room, and the storm outside became a faraway roar. He cooked beans, salt pork, and biscuits over the flames. It was simple, but to Sophia it tasted like hope. She changed into the dress he had bought her, a simple blue calico. It felt strange wearing something new after months in the same worn dress. When she stepped back into the firelight, Zachary paused, mid-motion. His eyes softened, and Sophia felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I got you something else," he said, handing her a small wrapped package. Inside was a small book of poems. "Emily Dickinson?" she whispered. "How did you know?" "Martha mentioned you liked poetry," Zachary said, suddenly shy. Sophia clutched the book to her chest. "It means more than you could know." That night, the wind howled outside while the fire crackled warmly inside. The storm rattled the cabin, but Sophia felt strangely safe. When Zachary started to spread blankets on the floor far from the fire, she frowned. "You'll freeze over there." "I'll be fine," he said. "Zachary, we're well past proper," she said softly. "We'll share the warmth, back to back. Nothing more, just survival." He hesitated, then nodded. They lay down near the fire, a blanket between them, the heat from the flames warming their faces. The cabin creaked around them, the storm pressing against the walls, but inside it felt peaceful. After a long, quiet moment, Sophia whispered, "Thank you. For rescuing me, for giving me a chance, for everything." Zachary shifted but didn't turn. "You saved yourself," he said. "I just opened the door." Quote. Sophia looked at the firelight flickering across the ceiling. She knew their journey was still long. She knew danger followed close behind. But as she lay there, warm and free for the first time in months, she felt something she had nearly forgotten existed: hope. By sunrise, the wind had settled, leaving a cold stillness across the mountains. The air outside the cabin was crisp and sharp, but the sky was clear. Sophia stepped out into the morning light, watching her breath rise like smoke. Zachary joined her, checking the horses and tightening the saddles. "We need to reach the summit by midday," he said. "Weather's turnin' fast." Sophia felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. "Do you think my father's men are close?" "Not yet," Zachary said, "but they will be. Your father's not a man who lets go easy." They rode through the rising mountain pass, the world around them growing steeper, wilder. Pine trees towered above the narrow trail, and loose rocks tumbled down the slopes. The higher they climbed, the colder it grew. Soon, snow began to fall in soft flakes. At first, it seemed harmless, peaceful even. But within an hour, the sky turned dark and heavy, and the snow thickened until the trail blurred under white. "Stay close," Zachary warned over the wind. "We're near the summit." Sophia's fingers numbed despite her gloves. The horses struggled forward, their hooves slipping on ice, hidden beneath the snow. The storm grew louder, harsher, almost alive. Then, disaster struck. As they rounded a sharp turn, the led horse slipped on an icy patch. The wagon lurched hard. One wheel cracked through the edge of the trail. The horses reared in panic, and the wagon tilted dangerously toward the ravine below. "Get back!" Zachary shouted. He leapt toward the horses, knife in hand. In one quick motion he cut the harness, freeing the animals just as the wagon slid over the edge. It tumbled down the slope, smashing through rocks and snow until it vanished completely. Sophia gasped. Their supplies were gone. Everything they owned had disappeared down the mountain. "We need to move," Zachary said, his voice tight with urgency. "The way station's close, a mile, maybe 2. They pressed forward through the storm. Each step felt impossible. Snow blinded them, stung their skin, and swallowed the world around them. Sophia's legs began to shake, and she struggled to stay upright. "Talk to me," Zachary shouted through the wind. "Tell me anything. Don't fall asleep." She tried. She talked about books, about her sister, About the first moment fresh air touched her face after months in the attic. Anything to keep her mind awake. Just when she thought her body would give out, a dark shape appeared through the snow. A small log building. The way station. "We made it," Zachary breathed. Inside the cabin, the air was cold but still. Zachary shut the door hard against the wind, then hurried to the fireplace. Sophia stood shaking uncontrollably, her clothes soaked through. "Change into something dry," he told her gently. "Now, before the cold sinks deeper." She obeyed, her hands trembling as she pulled off her wet dress and reached for the spare one in her bag. When she turned, she froze. Zachary's sleeve was soaked in red. "You're bleeding," she said, rushing to him. He glanced at his arm as though noticing it for the first time. A long gash ran from elbow to wrist. "Caught it on the wagon edge, I reckon." "That needs stitching," Sophia insisted. She boiled water and cleaned the wound carefully. When she threaded her needle and began to sew the cut closed, Zachary didn't flinch, but his jaw tightened. Sophia's hands were steady, surprising even herself. "You've done this before," he murmured. "My mother taught me," Sophia said quietly. "One of the few useful things she did." When she finished, she tied off the thread and wrapped his arm with a clean bandage. "Thank you," Zachary said, his voice low. They were sitting close, closer than they ever had. The fire crackled beside them, casting warm light across his face. For a long moment, neither spoke. Sophia felt the air between them shift, slow and warm, like the storm outside had pushed them into a moment that couldn't be undone. Finally, Zachary cleared his throat and stood. "We should eat. Keep up our strength." Quote. Sophia's cheeks warmed, but she nodded. They ate quietly, listening to the storm bury the cabin deeper in snow. That night, the cold was too sharp for anyone to sleep alone. They made a bed by the fire, laying blankets thick enough to keep the worst of the chill out. Zachary lay facing the flames. Sophia lay with her back to him. But sleep didn't come. The storm outside howled, but inside the fire cast a soft glow that felt almost safe. After a long silence, Sophia whispered, "Are you awake?" "Yes." She hesitated. "I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done. I don't know what I would have done without you." Zachary turned slowly, facing her now. She did the same. The firelight reached his eyes, giving them a gentle warmth she had never seen before. "You didn't owe me anything," he said quietly. "I only wanted to see you free." Sophia swallowed hard. "You gave me more than freedom. You gave me hope." He reached out, brushing a loose strand of hair from her cheek. She leaned into his touch before she could think twice. "Sophia," he murmured. Her name sounded like a question. Or maybe a promise. She answered in the only way she could. She kissed him. The kiss was soft at first, a careful touch. Then it deepened, full of all the fear, the hope, the loneliness, and the courage they had both held inside for too long. When they finally pulled apart, their foreheads touched, their breaths mingling in the warm firelight. "I think I'm falling in love with you," Sophia whispered, her voice shaking with honesty. Zachary let out a slow breath, full of emotion he had held back. "I've been fighting my feelings since the day I opened that door," he admitted. "But I didn't want to trap you. You deserved your freedom." Sophia smiled softly. "I choose you, Zachary Morrison, freely." The storm raged outside for 3 long days, but inside the cabin, something warm and certain grew between them. A new beginning. A new life. A love that came from courage instead of control. And when the skies finally cleared and the world outside shone white and new, Sophia knew she would never again be the girl locked away in an attic. She was free, truly free. And she wasn't running anymore. She was choosing her future, one step, 1 mile, 1 kiss at a time, with the man who had shown her what freedom really meant.